fellas, Divine Tech Analysis. Welcome back to my channel. If you guys seen me before, welcome back. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome. So, today I'm going to be going over this one iconic topic that everyone seems to know, and everyone talks about it, but is 8 gigabytes of VRam really causing bottlenecks in AAA game titles? Is it truly doing that? Well, I do want to tell you guys this though. A lot of you will point out that I'm going to be wrong about this, but the truth is, it is enough for this generation around this year, and I'm going to explain why. And I'm going to show you guys evidence on these benchmarks that I've been performing, that I did these hard-working benchmarks to prove to you guys that 8 gigabytes of VRAM is doable for these generation of games that we have currently around this generation. Okay, so before I get into the benchmarks and the proof that 8 gigabytes of VRAM can truly be doable, it can still do it to this day. Let's go back into the drama that's been going on for like quite a long while. I would say this is actually like around the time when the 40 series and the, I forget what the Radeon series is, but I don't really keep up with it. But back then when I heard about the 40 series that were launching, a lot of people were just talking really bad negative about it. I'm like, seriously? That's not how you do a proper review. I mean, the thing is that when was there ever a proper review though? That's the real thing. When was there like a perfect way to do a review though? There was never a perfect way. But the thing I'm about to show you guys is that for my review, it's going to be a little different than anyone else that you've heard of. So, but right now, let me get back to what I was going to say here is that everyone kept saying that, a lot of the creators, I'm not going to say their names, but a lot of them kept saying that, FPS numbers were so bad and like 8 gigabytes was just complete waste. Like, do not dare dump your money on this dumb hardware. Do not do it. That's what everybody kept saying. I'm like, is it really that dumb? Is my question. Is it really that dumb? To me though, I don't think so at all. That's just such a clickbaitable marketing strategy, I would say. So, to me, I don't feel like 8 gigabytes of VRAM GPUs, they don't feel like a waste. They still serve a purpose for many of us consumers. So, and one other thing is that a lot of the benchmarks, though, they don't look realistic to me, even though they're showing the numbers. But they didn't really, like, show, like, the real-time gameplay, because they're just showing bars and stuff like that. But what I'm about to show you is real-time gaming benchmarks from a camera that this is what it looks like in real time. Instead of trying to display bars, because I want to show you guys what the true benchmarks are, what's truly going on. Because I'm not going to go based on what people say, like, oh, this is what the average is, this is what the 1% lows are. Like, I'm not going to go for a bar of graphs. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you guys what is really going on and what this means to you guys as the consumer and the gamer as well. So, enough talk, let's get to the next piece. So, what I'm about to show you is me playing these games. I'm only playing 3 different games, and I have an A770 LE, and it has 16 gigabytes of VRAM, which be thinking like, that is what you need. I'm like, I'm gonna tell you guys this though, you don't need more than 8. You don't need that much. So, and if you guys do notice that, according to the MSI Afterburner that I'm using to show you guys these gaming benchmarks, the one thing that a lot of creators always say, but they don't point this out, like, to be more transparent, is that the real-time VRAM that I label and the other VRAM number A lot of them keep saying that the bigger number is the real-time VRAM usage, but that's not true. It's not the case at all. A lot of people keep saying that. That is not the case. And where you guys might be wondering, where's your proof of this? So this is not going to be an easy answer to go with because there's not really a true fact claims about between two different features of VRAM numbers that are going on right now, as you guys are seeing. So let me show you guys this real quick though. When I was researching through Google, and a lot of you will point out that you should not trust AI at all. AI is pretty dumb, but not necessarily the case. And I have done tremendous amount of research, and for some reason I've looked up where these facts are between um, what's allocated VRAM, what is dedicated VRAM, like what is all that. And Gemini was telling me all this that you guys see right here, that allocated VRAM is pretty much how much the game is requesting. And this is where a lot of people will kind of get confused, and they would always have this type of misconception going on. And it kind of really disappoints me that people would fall for this. I did kind of fell for it though, but right now though, I'm much better than I was. Anyway, coming back to what I was about to say here is that what this truly means about allocated VRAM. The game will request, how much it will need from you for your GPU, but it doesn't mean that's the actual real-time, VRAM usage. It doesn't mean that way. It's just asking, like, if you're playing, let's say, Call of Duty, and you have, let's say, 12 gigabytes of VRAM, but it'll tell you, like, I need around 11. That's what the game will say according to MSI. But when you look at the lower number on the other VRAM usage, that's actually the real time usage. So it'll be like maybe 6 or even 7. That's the real time usage. So a lot of people think that the higher number was the real time usage, but it's not though. It's the other way around. People got sidetracked. They got misled so badly, and that was the whole point, that people went onto Micro Centers at Best Buy or Amazon, whatever. They were trying to look for 10, 12, or 16 gigabytes of VRAM GPUs around the world. They were looking for those, and everybody fell for the thing for like, boycott 8 gigabyte GPUs. Boycott those. We don't want those. Those are bad. That was like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, though. In my opinion, at least. I can't believe that everybody was boycotting this, though. And I have a desktop GPU that has 8 gigabytes of VRAM, and I also have a gaming laptop that has 8 gigabytes of VRAM. I also have that as well. Anyway, now, whether you guys trust Gemini for answer questions, though, I mean, it's up to you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that Gemini is wrong on this part. It doesn't mean that way. There's sometimes where Gemini is kind of right on these questions that you guys are asking, but sometimes that these answers might be like, no, that's not right. So it happens. Whether you guys trust it or not, that's on your judgment. Anyway, coming back to the game benchmarks, kind of went off too far to explain the deeper details. As you guys can see, I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy, and this game is still CPU bottlenecking to this day, though it's not GPU limit, but it's still CPU. A lot of you will say it's still GPU, but it's not that at all. It's still the other way around, because the CPU itself is still doing all these calculations for you, though. The GPU is still displaying for you, but the CPU still has to give information to the GPU. That's what a lot of consumers don't really realize this, and I will make a future video about something else with CPU itself, but mostly with the threads. But this is mainly about the GPU bottleneck, more of the 8 gigabytes of VRAM that everyone keeps talking about. It's not enough, things like that. So as you guys can see, that my real-time usage on MSI is still below the um, pretty much like, oh, it's still playable. I'm like, that's interesting though. I thought 8 gigabytes was not enough in a sense, but it's still enough. Now there is one catch to this though. What I'm using for my A770 that you guys are seeing, it might say like root time usage will be like 7 or 8 or even up to 12 on it though. But that's not really like, because the behavior between two GPUs of like you're using 8 gigabytes of VRam and you have one that has 16, but the behavior usages will vary differently than each other. So even like for me though, I have 16 on me, but I'll probably be going up to 10, things like that. Be like, damn, this use a lot more than that. This does use a lot more, but when I'm on my other GPU, which is I'm using a uh, 8 gigabyte laptop gaming GPU though, then the behaviors start to change, and that's where the questions start to raise a lot more. Be like, wait a second, you had 10 gigabytes of VRAM usage on one hardware, but your laptop has 8, but it's not bottlenecking at all. Your FPS numbers are like just smooth. Like frame times consistency are just like, this is excellent. This is what we need. It's because the behavior is very different from each other. Now let's go over like how Hogwarts Legacy is. This game, like I said, it's still CPU bottleneck, and what you guys can see is that I don't use that. Like, I'm still below the VRAM usage though. It's not that much. Like, this is how much you need though, and this is good enough for me, and it's good enough for the consumers though. You don't need more than 8. You don't need more than that. But like I said before, between 8 gigabyte GPU capacity and 16 capacity, VRAM usage behaviors are going to behave very differently from each other. And while I'm in Hogsmeade town, I'm actually moving around, and you guys can see that the FPS numbers kind of go down because obviously CPU bottleneck. This thing is not very optimized because it's still on Unreal Engine 4, which is pretty unfortunate. But now let's go in and do upscaling. I know many people are gonna say that upscaling gives fake frames. No, that's completely wrong though. The fake frames come from the frame generation feature, not the upscaling mode. These are two upscaling modes that we're talking about. We got DLSS, FSR, XeSS upscaler, and we got frame generation. These are two different upscaling modes. People kind of get mixed up, but I do want to point that out. So, upscaling is not a bad idea at all. To be fair, it's not bad to use. But if you guys prefer native, meaning no frame generation and no upscaling, I understand that. I like native too, but since upscaling has already improved over time, you know what though, it's fine to use upscaling for this occasion. Now let's move into a different game, Cyberpunk. Let's see what that does. I know many people would say you need more than 8 gigabytes of VRAM, but you don't need that much. This game is um, still CPU intensive because you got a lot of characters moving around in the city, and I'm still playing native, and VRAM usage is okay. Like it's all right. It's not a big deal. And even if it were to go higher, like I said, behavior usage between 8 capacity and 16 capacity will behave very differently. So here we are with all that. It looks rather nice, and I'm like, wow, this is smooth. But now let's go to upscale. Let's do that instead. What will it be like for that one? Higher FPS? Okay, that's nice. That's even better though. Now, let's try another game, which is The Division 2. This is the only game that I know that has no upscaling. There's no upscaling for Division 2, except for that consoles will still use upscaling. So that's kind of been a one side drawback for console gamers. But anyway, getting a little sidetracked here. So let's go back to PC. So Division 2 has no upscaling, so this is all native footage you guys are seeing. Now, VRAM usage is very odd, but it doesn't mean you need more than 8. On my A770 LE edition type of card, I'm always going up to like 9 to 10 gigabytes of VRAM usage. Be like, darn, you need more than 8. No, not necessarily. Like, as always, behavior usage acts differently depending on the capacity of the card. It behaves very different. Now, I did try, since I had 16, I did try to turn the presets much higher, and I did, and somehow that I was getting inconsistent frames, and my frame time consistency was going way off, like it wasn't behaving where I wanted to be, and I was still dropping like below like 50 FPS, and I'm like, damn, this sucks. Be like, wait a second, you might be asking, you have 16, but why is it going down? Well, here's another bottleneck that's occurring at the same time though. GPU bottleneck. But the GPU bottleneck isn't based on the VRAM itself. In fact, the GPU bottleneck, what I'm talking about, is based on the GPU die itself. Because each die has its own limitations based on how much GPU cores that are stored in there. If there it isn't that much for to do this much demands, your GPU bottleneck based on the amount of cores that you're using though. And let's go check out my 4070 on my mobile GPU for my laptop gaming. Let's check that out. I'm still below 8 gigabytes of VRAM, but for some reason I can able to turn all the settings to maxed out. And for some reason I'm able to get away with it. How is that possible? The reason why that this GPU, my 4070 with 8 gigabytes of VRAM, can do all these high settings is because the CUDA cores, the GPU cores within the 4070 are a little higher than my A770. So with that much cores I have that are inside the die, I can easily surpass, the A770 because it couldn't do it though. It didn't, because obviously it had more VRAM, but it couldn't do it because the GPU cores that it had manufactured by Intel, it wasn't enough. So the extra amount of cores made a difference in frame time consistency. So there you go. Okay, so now since I pointed out the numbers and everything, I gave you guys the proof that it does not need to be more than 8. Even though that I have 2 different GPUs, they behave differently based on the amount of cores and bandwidth, things like that. But I showed you guys and explain what was going on, and now you guys know. Now let's take things to a different level. So this part here, I'm going to show you guys that, people get saying that you need more than 8 for 1080p. No, you don't. And I'm going to show you guys this though. So I'm going to bring this out. Show you guys this card though. This is a Sparkle A580. Not B580, the A580. Alchemist 580. Not the Battle MH580. I know a lot of people I saw a lot of people on Reddit and anywhere else that, they would rather buy the Battle MH580 for 20 gigabytes. This is still okay. This is still okay. Even though this thing has 8 gigabytes, and you guys might say, dude, you don't know what you're going to do, man. That thing's not going to survive. Well then, let's find out. Because I'm going to show you guys something that's going to blow your mind, because a lot of you are going to be kind of wrong for that. But let's show you guys the real numbers on what's really going on. So, let's get to it then. Now, what you guys see here is that I'm actually doing pretty well on this. And as you guys can see that I'm not losing too much performance though, and I am doing these, you know, carefully laid out benchmarks on certain presets, and voila! Like, there's no way you can deny this. It's just remarkable though, and just for fun, let's get the upscaling in, shall we? Let's get it. So, Ultra Quality Plus. How nice is that going to be? Voila! Look at that number right there. Look at those numbers on those FPS and the real-time usage. Look at that. Like, you cannot make this stuff up. Like, I'm showing you guys right now that you guys don't need more than 8 at all. You guys don't need it. Because, look what I'm doing. It's 1080p. Does it take more than 8? No, it does not. Because what I'm showing you guys is real proof that you guys don't need more than 8. So stop trying to overspend on something that you guys don't necessarily need, because the game probably won't take as much as you would expect. Because now what I'm showing you, it's not taking as much. Now let's go over to this right here, Cyberpunk. Let's check that out. Boom, look at that. I'm not even going over that. And this is nice. Frame time consistency is smooth enough. I mean, there might be some slight dips in there, but hey, you know what? Every game's gonna have some stutters, but it's all right. I'm all right. Like, I'm having a fine experience right there. And let's once again turn up upscaling. Let's just do that. Boom. Look at this though. I mean, like, you cannot make this stuff up either. Like, this is just wonderful. This 8GB GPU, the A580 Sparkle card, is just dominating this thing, and it's not having a problem with it. So now, with all that right there, let's go on into Division 2. The only game where I know native resolution is the only mode. There's no upscaling for Division 2 for this 1080p card, and for doing 1080p benchmarks. So let's take a look at that. As you guys can see, that, look at this. Like, you don't need any more than that. Like, why take more that it doesn't need? Like, it's okay. It's fine. Like, look at this. It's just wonderful. Like, there's no way you can deny that what I'm showing you, that this is for real, what I'm showing you. Like, I will say this though. The numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. People say that, but here I am showing you guys that you don't need more than 8. I'm showing you guys with this A580 card, not B580, the A580. It's the Alchemist generation. This thing is amazing. There's no way you can deny it. You cannot make this up. As I said before, there's no way I'm like scamming you guys for this. Like, I'm showing you guys what's going on, and boom, look at that. That's just remarkable. So the answer is, obviously, you guys can truly have an 8GB card on your 1080p gaming resolution. Now let's go up a bit of a notch, a higher notch, meaning let's scale up to 1440p instead. What will happen if I went there? What will happen if I did that? Well, let's see what happens. So coming around here, coming to Hogwarts Legacy again, and obviously, the game has some really hard stutters because, once again, CPU bottleneck. This game is on Unreal Engine 4. It's very unoptimized, and it's not optimized to this day though. And you guys might be saying it's still GPU bottleneck. No, it's still CPU, but at the same time, it is GPU. I will admit that it is still GPU, but if we turn some settings to the acceptable level where we manageable, there you go. If you guys want to do it for native resolution, but let's go to upscaling. How's that going to be like? Wowzers, that is nice. Like, there's no way you can deny this. This is nice though. This A580 card, Alchemist 580, not Battle.net 580. This Alchemist 580 can truly dominate in this category. It can truly take on 1440p. It might be demanding, but you know what? Upscaling, it's okay. You can do it though. It's not a bad idea. Let's go back to Division 2 and see how the A580 will perform in 1440p. Let's see. So I had to do a bit of tweaking on the settings. Unfortunately, high settings is a little bit much, but you know what? Medium settings is okay. Which, do I even need to have a problem with if I'm not able to go to high settings? No, it's because I'm okay with medium settings on native resolution on Division 2. So, there you go. That's the FPS, that's the VRam usage. You don't need more than 8. Enough of that. Let's swap over to, boom, Cyberpunk. Let's see that. Okay, I had to do some tweaking there, okay, and that's good enough for me. I had to be sure that it was enough, though. I couldn't go, everything on high, but not going for like ultra cycle. That's way beyond the card's limit. But anyway, but as you guys can see, that you know, doable, not bad. You know what? It's okay. It's not a big deal. But this game still has some CP bottlenecks as well. Obviously, there's so much characters walking around, things like that for Cyberpunk. That's okay. But there you have it. That's the power with the A580, not B580, the A580 on 1440p. So that's the benchmarks. So with all that out of the way, hopefully you consumers and gamers understood that 8 gigabytes of VRam is totally doable. You guys can truly do it. It's not a bad card capacity. You guys don't need that much. If you guys have 10, I'm okay with that. But if you guys have 12, you guys kind of overspent on something you guys don't generally need. So, whatever 8 gigabyte card you guys find in the market, though, just go for it. I don't care which model, variant, whatever it is, just go for it because it's not a bad deal. It's generally not. So, hope you guys this give you a better understanding and kind of clear out the BS misconceptions, and now you guys truly understand that 8 gigabytes is not bad at all. It's completely doable, and that's it. So, if you're still looking for a card for your build, like I said, you're fine with 8 gigabytes. The game benchmarks I showed you guys, they say for themselves. Obviously, like I said, the numbers don't lie. Because obviously, I showed you guys right there, and voila. I showed you guys everything what it means, and now you guys don't have to overspend on something you guys don't generally need. So, you gamers take care, and I'll see you guys next time. Divine Technologies is out.